Hey guys, today I am headed to the Litchfield Pickers Market. It's a nice cool day today and I just got out of church, so I'm gonna run over there real quick. Sometimes I leave empty-handed and sometimes I leave with a whole bunch of stuff, but there's always a lot of good stuff to see. So let's go see what we can find. Now, before I start taking you through some more individual booths and giving you a closer look, I did want to throw up the dates here for the upcoming Pickers Market. So it's every second Sunday of each month, May through October, from 8 to 2. So it is closing a little earlier than it used to. I think it used to be 8 to 3. So I had to really be on top of it to get there after church today. But I made it. I still had about an hour and a half to shop. And it really does take about that long to get through everything, and that's going at a decent pace. I mean, I wasn't going super quick because I was filming, but I also don't think I saw every individual item on every single table. So I think that you could easily spend about 2 to 3 hours here. It does get pretty hot in this area in the dead of summer, so I got really lucky with the weather today, but July and August and even September can be pretty toasty here, but October will probably be a really nice one. But I was just so happy that I was able to make it today, especially just being pregnant. I just wasn't sure how the weather was going to hold up, but it ended up being a really beautiful day for this market. Now, as you can see, there is just a huge variety of antiques, and you're going to see a bunch of different styles throughout the whole Pickers Market. A lot of people selling antique tools like you see here. And obviously, I wasn't able to capture everything for today's video, but I did just try to give you guys just kind of a variety of the things that is offered at this market. Lots of glassware. I saw so many crocks that were really intriguing. Lots of enamelware. I'm always here just kind of looking for a really good deal though. Some of my favorite things to buy here are old pieces of wood that I can upcycle, like an interesting old sign or shutter, something that would otherwise be trash to most people, but something that I could take home and clean up and maybe take and transform into some kind of home decor piece. So that's my favorite thing to find here. I'm kind of sad that I passed these crock bowls up because they were $22 each, which is a pretty good price. And I really just love the size of them. So not sure why I didn't grab those. Probably just was feeling kind of cheap or not feeling like lugging them around because they are pretty heavy. Of course, I'm always looking for these blue striped pieces of pottery. This little piece was so cute, that little miniature dresser. I almost grabbed that, but I was just kind of still at the beginning still, and I wasn't sure what I wanted to have to carry around. I will say I felt like today there wasn't as many furniture options as normal, but I do end up finding a furniture vendor at the end, which honestly it wasn't what I came for because that's the hardest thing for me to load and get home, and just not really what I was coming for. I was more coming for smalls or things that I could upcycle, but I did end up with a couple really cool pieces of furniture that I'll show you guys at the end. There's also a ton of shops just along these main streets in Litchfield. Not a ton, but I would say probably 5 or 6 antique stores in this general area. A couple of them you might need to drive, like half a mile to or so. But Litchfield is a really big antique store town still, even to this day. I feel like a lot of places have shut down over the years, but Litchfield has kind of remained to be a really good destination place for those who are looking for somewhere to go antiquing all day. Now this wood piece here is one of my favorite things that I saw all day, probably from an old post office. $2.95 is probably a good price. I mean, if I was selling it, I would have sold it around that same price also. It's just not a good price for me as a vendor to resell it. But man, it was really beautiful. This vendor is one I always keep an eye on. I have definitely bought stuff from him in the past. He always has really interesting pieces, especially things that are good for me to upcycle. I also see a lot of wood stools here, and that's another thing I always keep my eye out for because I can do some kind of IOD design on there, or just repaint it, and those typically sell well for me. So I do like to keep my eyes out for stools. And then of course anything copper, which I didn't see a ton of today, or if I did, it was already being sold at a price that I wouldn't be able to profit from. But sometimes I'm buying things here for myself, and if it's a really unique piece of copper or just a unique anything, I am willing to pay their price, of course, because I know that they've done the work to find that piece. A lot of times those things need cleaned up and taken care of and then unloaded at the market. It's a lot of work. So I'm not always looking just for an absolute bargain, but if I am going to resell it, it does need to be at a certain price point where I can actually make some money at the end of the day. And these vendors here are some of our friends who also have a booth up at my treasure house, which is where our antique booth is, Green Onion Vintage. And I didn't end up buying anything today, but there was a lot of my favorite things here in this booth. I really liked the windows they had in the front of that table. I didn't end up grabbing them just because I have quite a collection in my garage that I already need to do something with. But there are a lot of interesting things in this booth. And of course, I love their booth at my treasure house as well. I loved all of the pottery and ceramics on this table. That all caught my eye. And then of course I'm always looking for rolling pins that I can upcycle into some kind of decor. I typically try to keep my costs for those under $5 though, because sometimes I can find them at Goodwill. If they just get too much more than that, then I really can't profit off them in my booth, even if I paint them or do something kind of pretty on them. I just have to be pretty careful about what I'm spending. But I do see this little blue stripe crock here, and I do end up grabbing that because she only asked $8 for it, which is a very fair price. And it is from Marshall, Texas, which is my favorite brand to collect. And it's just got a really cute, interesting shape. It's a nice smaller size, so I was really happy with that find. Of course, I need to sell some of those striped pieces that I get, but for now, I'll just be keeping that in my home because I think it looks so cute on my kitchen shelves. So I did not end up buying a ton at the Pickers Market, but what I did buy, I really love. First off would be this big oak pie safe / hutch. It is seriously so beautiful. It was really nicely refinished by these sellers. They were such nice people too. If you go to Litchfield Pickers Market, they're right on the edge of Main Street, so you can actually see them when you're driving by. They're like very close to the main road that's open. And it's just so beautiful. It still has its original wavy glass. And I love all of the little engravings here in the front. I still have it wrapped in plastic because I'm kind of hoping to sell this for my garage, just so I can make that money back a little quicker. I only paid though $100 for this piece. And this thing barely fit in my van. I'm still working out of my minivan. I do not own a truck, so that got a little dicey, but it's so beautiful. I'm so glad I ended up getting it. This is one of those things though, if I had room in my house, I would totally be keeping this, but I really need to part with it. So that was my first buy. And then from those same vendors, I got this vanity. I didn't want to unwrap it because I'm gonna have to transport it again, but these mirrors fold out. It's just really cute, really solid. There were no like major defects with it that meant that I was gonna have to work a lot on it. So I love when I can find something that can just go directly into my booth. It really saves me a lot of work. Although I do like painting a piece as well. This is just one of those where I'm buying it in wonderful condition so that I can just put it right in the booth. I ended up paying $50 for this, which was such a good price. And it looks so cute with the mirror on there. So stay tuned because once I put it in the booth, I'm sure I'll have a better image of it for you guys. And the only two smalls that I grabbed is this little crock with the blue stripes. It is from Marshall, Texas, which I have a large collection of. I ended up paying $8 for that. And then I think $10 is what I paid for this picnic basket. It's a little smaller than what I normally work with, which I really like. It has some pretty creepy clown paper inside that I will just tear out. It's already pretty ripped up. That I'll probably decoupage a little poster on the top and make that more of a piece of decor. So I'm really happy with those two things. Overall, though, a lot of things were priced higher than I wanted them to be in order to resell. But if you're just an antique collector and you're looking for certain things, I think the Pickers Market would be a wonderful stop for you. I also, at a yard sale on the way, just grabbed this grocery sign and then this little white pitcher. So not a ton of stuff, but a nice little collection to get ready for my booth. I hope you guys enjoyed shopping with me today at the Litchfield Pickers Market. Thanks so much for spending some time with me, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!